it's just got this constant amount coming down to the water pump, and the water pump's only using the electricity sometimes. And the water pump is pumping water up to a field to grow flowers, which is very popular in Kenya. Kenya is the world's largest exporter of cut flowers, and I know that there's a tulip joke in there somewhere, but the point is that this is happening everywhere in Kenya. There's all kinds of water pumps that are being powered by electricity to move water to grow flowers, and there's so much waste there. So it's just a matter of time before people realize there's sort of a business model here. And the other thing that's important is like, oh, well, why don't you use some other kind of data center, right? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that I get to my piece, but the main one is you'd have to set up a payment contract and you'd probably get paid in fiat. So most of the currencies on the African continent, as I hope some people understand here, are very weak and they're not accepted and they're basically not very good technology for money. And it's better to be paid in Bitcoin. I mean, it's like mining will pay you natively directly. And the last thing I'll just say that really struck me is that as this happens, as you see this revolution happen, you're going to see more and more and more people take advantage of this stranded or wasted energy in Africa specifically, because there's like not that much grid infrastructure. So it takes like a weakness and turns it into a strength, and it also helps Bitcoin. I understand that it's quite obvious that for people to maybe understand that Bitcoin could be a useful tool for many people in Africa. But here's how Bitcoin's going to benefit from Africa. Here's how Africa is really going to help Bitcoin. As this expands and the mining moves into off-grid sites that are decentralized in Africa, it really helps decentralize Bitcoin mining because it sort of alleviates this stress point we have in the West where a lot of the power production going into Bitcoin is centralized and can be targeted by the state. It's really hard to do that when let's say 20-30% of the network, let's say maybe in 10-20 years is totally off grid and cannot be shut down in a coordinated way. Like that makes Bitcoin so much stronger. Second thing is that you have this interesting development, which we'll get into in a second, with KG and from Machankura that maybe there's reasons why Bitcoin users in Africa in the future might be self-custodial at that scale, whereas maybe in the West they might not. The privilege we have might lead us to centralized solutions. So we'll get to that in a second. But Troy, just to get your thoughts on this energy piece here, you made a really brilliant insight that I included in my essay about how in the last cycle Bitcoin mining was driven by access to cheap capital, like basically Wall Street would borrow money and invest it in miners and stuff. And now, maybe in the next cycle, Bitcoin mining will be driven by cheap electricity, basically. Like who's got the cheapest, who's got the most that nobody else wants. And certainly in places like Africa, that's. I mean, they have so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me into this space. And it's just an honor to be up here with these people that you featured in your article and also with you. I thought the article was so brilliant, and I was so moved by what's happening. And I don't know, my thoughts are kind of meta, and maybe you can circle back to me later in this space. But it's surreal that we're in a time where the ETFs are dominating conversation, and debates are being held in the FT or the Wall Street Journal or whatever about whether Bitcoin has any utility or whether it's a mere speculative asset. And you can't listen to that debate and read your piece uh, at the same time without massive cognitive friction and tension, because as you say in your article, there's sort of Bitcoin is simultaneously addressing two major issues of everyday human concern in obvious ways in Africa, and one is protecting your ability to hold value, protecting you from debasement of currency, and the other is it's developing energy. And it's just surreal that realization has not yet dawned on the mainstream press and the conversations that are happening in the part of the world where